The summer is here and I like Christmas, so Xmas reviews. Today we have Santa Claus Present, one of the Christmas episodes from Ghost Sweeper Mikami. And yes, I chose this one because I like the series. I really appreciate the atmosphere, even being a bit too episodic and tropic. No, I don't mean tropical, like a beach with coconut trees and crystal clear water. I mean full of tropes, like going to a crowded beach full of garbage because summer means beach. Woohoo! I'm going to stay out of it because I've had my annual beach going, but if you're dragged there, maybe you can lay on the couch. I'm going straight to the story, but if you want to know more about the series, I know a guy who reviewed the anime as a whole and their version of it. We start with a commercial district decorated for Christmas, where a boglin eats Christmas cakes. Yes, Brazilians have panettone as well as their Milanese inventors. Not quite what I mean. Portugal has bolo hay, Americans and English have fruitcakes, and the Japanese have Christmas cake.
The box. You opened it. We came.
And Christmas chicken from KFC. Yes, it's been a tradition for decades. It must be why the Colonel is sometimes seen there as we see Ronald McDonald here.
That's not what I meant.
Surprise!
Whoa, what is that? I think it's just for emphasis, but it looks like it swallows and the cake goes down to its tail. That means that thing for frosting is... And is this a cannibal? Do we eat boglin diarrhea? Are you saying it's this way? Or are you saying the machine says it's this way? Or even the machine found it? I love this kind of joke you might not even notice, but when you think about it, you realize the script doesn't need to slow down to do something comedic. After trying to escape like a Looney Tune, the Minizilla stops to devour the rest of the cakes, Reiko catching up.
この三上玲子が極楽へ行かせてあげるわ
Oh,
この三上玲子が極楽へ行かせてあげるわ
much better. When Mr. Gimmick tries to attack with his tongue, Reiko uses a fan to wind it up and be able to attack. Okay, 1. I don't remember seeing that fan before. I don't know if the inscriptions mean anything, if it has powers, etc. The wiki just says it's capable of hitting spirits, and the only image beside this one I found is the cover of the PC Engine game. 2. If the frog knew to gnaw not its tongue, it'd probably have enough strength to pull down something like that fan. And 3. Spinning it like that, the tongue would slip and get loose, or at least not wind up more than the minimum. Yes, I know what they meant. That doesn't mean it makes sense visually, and it wouldn't be so noticeable if the whole confrontation introducing the situation didn't depend on this to be resolved. It's one of those things from older series that you have to swallow. Even the good ones have these moments. And what's the situation being introduced? End of the day? Today's Christmas and Reiko decided to work, announcing they'd have another 5 clients that very day. And after the cards, they are exhausted in Mikami's house about to close the day. After announcing she'd work as much as possible in the last week of the year, Mikami creates a barrier to protect the house while she sleeps, and sends her assistant home saying he should be a good boy to get a gift from Santa, which makes the innocent Yukino ask if she'd still get a gift even only having Tabi. The barrier is then attacked by Santa, which in this version has a halo. Halo's hurting seems to be a pattern in anime. This Noel is a grumpy guy who reminds me a lot of the coach in Ashita no Joe. Best thing though, he gets here already drunk. In fact, there's no reason for him hitting the barrier. This isn't stated, but the cartoon is basically saying Santa is a drunk driver who suisei-canes into the barrier and will eventually run over Grandma. After laying him on a bed...
おじいさま、本当に災難でしたね。悪いのはみんな僕たちです。ところで僕、何でも言いなりになってすぐに裸になってくれるお姉さんが欲しいな。
本当にサンタ舐めとんのやろ。
Yes, it's stupid, but it came so out of nowhere that I laughed. The next one is not so good, and I got in such a good mood from this one that I laugh at it also. Yukino offers to help, and the other two get on board when Santa says they can get something from his magical sack even though they aren't children. Well, he is a Catholic. And this is how the bulk of the story begins. First, they have to find Santa's reindeer, which they immediately do because it was with the horse Shikigami of Mako's who came to visit. Then they have to convince it to fly.
どうだミスト中井の生写真
And you thought bronies started with My Little Pony, didn't you? And while Santa gets a drink, they scare a plane and get a paper with the rules they have to follow, out of nowhere. As if there was a flyer in the air that happens to talk about that. Santa's voice is reading the paper, so maybe he magically made it appear, but nobody says that. And he could have given that personally, or spoken to them. So, knowing they have to go in through chimneys, Mikami realizes poppings nowadays might mean something else, and she cuts the glass door to unlock it. Even the ghost says she could unlock it from the inside more easily. When they get the present, Yokoshima decides to see what it is, but the conversation wakes the kid up. And while she's at it, Reiko knocks Mako out too. They go on leaving gifts in various places, including a Mikami Reiko doll with a face as if it knew how little sense its existence makes in this universe. The reindeer, however, starts to accelerate and fly higher, making all feel cold and becoming a yellow Kamehameha. They don't scatter everywhere, so it's not that attack Krillin has. Finally, they return.
It's a small world after all.
Yukino asks why they were in the night for 24 hours, and Reiko, too exhausted to explain, points at the puppet. This is another of those moments in which the illusion gets broken a little. Unlike the last one though, it's a bad script choice. While in the other you are asked not to think too much, and how much is too much is subjective, in this one they're asking you to not think at all. This puppet is the narrator character when needed. In the stories themselves, only that machine that points where the spirits are and their legitimacy shows a similar doll, and so far it was a number of explanations and jokes for the audience. It is dressed traditionally and with a fan, which I believe to be indicative of he being a rakugoka, a traditional Japanese storyteller. Even the box where the puppet is when the machine could be seen as the stage a rakugoka would perform in. But he doesn't talk to the characters. He just repeats something basic like a locator, a machine, and then the main character points at him like she always knew he existed. Why in the hell would you do this? Maybe the idea is that she's so exhausted she can't pretend to be a character, knowing she's part of a play. Kinda reminds me of the last episode. Sorta like when the situation is so serious that Norbert and Daggett become their actors for a second. The difference is that the situation there is unique, is established, and develops over the whole episode. And here, it's just a moment out of the blue. End of the day, Mako gets an autograph from Santa, and the other three get their favorite presents from when they were kids, as are, like you might see in a second-hand ad. Reiko re-gets a teddy, Yokoshima re-gets a robot, and Yukino re-gets a temari. Yes, apparently everyone shown with a temari is a victim of antiquated rituals. And, of course, the character presented as greedy and selfish is humanized, feeling satisfied with the teddy. Compared to the other episodes we've seen with the Piper, this one is weaker. The contrivance here is not like that ending, in my point of view, because the joke here doesn't fit as well in the scenario as it does there. Still, there was a fun Santa who was a boxer, and some interesting jokes. Something interesting, however, is noticing this series had 2 Christmas episodes in a row. The decision seems to have been to have this one about Christmas for kids, and the following one as a romantic celebration that also happens in Japan. Who knows? Maybe we'll see that one next year. Much better. Shit. Too much coffee. Or talk to them. talked to them, spoken to them.